Welcome to another Arius Wave crypto market update. Okay, so I just put out my SNX update and I did mention Shib. I did mention what I think is happening in crypto at the moment. Now, in this view, it's pretty much the same as SNX and Shib. Okay, ETH, the D wave is a bit more expanded, so I'm not going to cover that one, but I do think that there is some lower prices coming, but I don't think it's going to be as severe as what some people might think. And the reason for that, I'll explain in a sec. So, once again, the same sort of scenario here. We have an A, according to this count, right? We have an A and then a B, a C, obviously a D, and now we're gonna get an E. Okay, so the way I see it is that this thing is going to end up looking like it's a five-wave move, right? And I think that it's just purely because of, well, how can I say it? Okay, so there's two potential views that can happen here, right? Because this pattern in Bitcoin is not easy, right? A while back, I used to think this was going to be a wave C, right? I don't believe it's a wave C, even though wave Cs are five-wave moves, right? I go based on the correction. So if you understand what Arius wave is, going based on the correction means that it's either a complete correction or it's not, right? So when you're looking at a wave component, right? Like for example, we've got wave A here. That's a zigzag according to this count, right? B is a zigzag according to this count. Wave C is a five-wave move, right? This D here is just a zigzag, right? It's not a complete correction, which means that it's just part of a correction, right? So A, B, C, D, E. Now, the reason why I don't think it's going to go much lower than this white line is because that's where we have price 1 and 2 territory, right? From back, I can't even see it on this chart. I'll go to the daily, all right? So wave 1, wave 2. If this is a five-wave move still in progress and we're going to see another high, right? Then price typically won't go into the price territory of wave 1 and 2. Okay, so bear that in mind. Okay, I have classified this as a B wave once, right? The C wave got a bit too long for me to continue to believe that, right? I'm also seeing this pattern in other cryptos as well. So it's not just Bitcoin. So obviously this has been a bit of a difficult one, and I have called it an AB previously, but that means that we're going to see a short wave E, right? According to this, if it goes below that, it, I just I just think that it's a weak five-wave move, more than likely, right? The alternative scenario is that this was a three-wave move, and this whole thing is an A, B, C, right? The original count from like a year and a half ago, that type of thing. But I don't see it. I don't see that being the case, especially if we see a five-wave move from this area now. So that to me will indicate that we're going to see another high, all-time high. Okay. If the correction didn't look the way that it does, then I would consider this to be a five-wave move, which would change a lot of things down the road. All right, it would produce a different outcome, in my opinion. Okay. The other scenario, which could be happening, I suppose, if you take certain things into consideration, is that wave 5 will be an ending pattern. Okay, and this is only wave 1 of what could potentially be a contracting style pattern, right? Contracting, contracting, right? Something like that. Okay, where it starts to form that kind of wedge shape, whatever. That type of thing. Okay. Now that's pie in the sky at the moment, but you have to keep everything in the back of your mind when you're looking at these waves, especially if we get a dip into the price wave 1 and 2 territory. Okay. Aside from that, if for some strange reason, right, which is possible, and we did already have 5 waves up already, and it just turns out that wave 5 was short, and this is corrective, a completely corrective structure, then we could see prices fall even further. Okay, like much further to the previous wave 4, right? So that's the 3,000 call that you typically tend to hear. He's back to the previous wave 4. Okay, so in that scenario, if it does go below wave 4, then I think that there's something completely different going on, and that could mean that basically it's just another dip to buy, right? And it'll go much higher. Okay, much higher, because that would mean that whatever correction happened here, this would be like a complete, potentially like a complete. Let me just put these into place so I can explain what I'm trying to say here. Let's just imagine that this is like part of a larger wave 1, right? And this correction here is like a really sharp wave 2, right? Which, by the way, would be quite a massive drop percentage wise. It'd be like depression style 95%. Okay. Now, if that's the case, that would be interesting because of something else I'm going to show you. Okay. So let's go now to Shib. Okay. So there's a few potential scenarios for Bitcoin here. I don't want to give you one at this point, but at the moment they're all bearish. Okay. So Shib is producing what I believe is this type of pattern. Now, Shib only came out in August 2020, right? Whatever the case may be, this low here, it doesn't really mean anything, right? Because we have hardly any data. The only reason I'm showing you this is because the pattern appears to be the same pattern, right? So we had an A, B, C. This current D now, I believe, is over. The pump we saw, that was it. And we're going to see the start of something that's going to go down even further, right? So because we don't have much data, it's irrelevant what happened in the past. This thing could definitely go below the previous low. Okay, it just could, especially if Bitcoin goes as low as it could potentially go. We don't know, right? Or, like I said in the beginning, we could just have a small wave E, right? Which isn't uncommon either, right? I've seen plenty of times where you get the ABC and then you get a small DE and then you continue higher. Okay. So it's just a matter of paying attention to what happens as it happens. Okay. And, looking for the signs, trading, just doing swing trades, small swing trades, because you need to watch out for corrections, and nobody really knows what's going to happen, right? You just can't know that kind of thing, right? Regardless of fundamentals and macros, whatever, you just can't know. Okay, so we're just going to keep an eye on this. That's why I put updates often. If something changes, I tell you. I try to tell you as early as possible, so then my analysis is sort of up to date and not getting stale. Okay, so that's fine. Now, so if that's wave D completed, obviously that's why we're getting a pullback now. You're getting, you know, to me that's topping out now. Anyway, regardless of that, let's go to SNX because I cover it. So same deal. If we go to, actually, I'll show you this chart, okay, on the daily. So very simple, straightforward. A, B, C, right? The D is what I believe is what we've just seen. Um, yeah, and I didn't actually go close on the Bitcoin one, but I'll try to finish up on that one to explain that a bit more. With the SNX one, like what we saw happen here overnight, as I mentioned in the SNX, you can just watch the SNX video for that, all right? So I'm not going to go over that too much again. The SNX video I posted just before, we have a wave D scenario, okay? Similar kind of thing. It may seem like Shib was ahead, but I think Shib was behind, right? Shib was the one that pulled the move last. This one I think had already happened, okay? So bear that in mind. So I shorted this after a bounce this morning, whatever I mentioned on the SNX video. So, okay. So we talked about Bitcoin, SHIB, and SNX. Now, let me just go back to Bitcoin on a small degree, and I'll explain why I think this is a D wave, and that's it. Okay. So we had the A wave. Okay. We had an A, B, C, D, E. Now, this one could only be classified as an E because it moves down in zigzags. There's no such thing as a triple zigzag, but there is a such thing as a weak 5-wave move. Well, according to what I do anyway. All right. And then I said we're going to move higher, but take a look at this 5-wave move. Now, if you take a look at the A wave, look at that. Look at the angle on that versus look at and the time it took versus this. I mean, yeah, sure. I said if we break highs, we're going higher. But if this is a wave 5, like I said, and I've said many times, corrections are all the same. The same correction happens in waves 2, 4, and B of a zigzag. It's the same correction. That's that's what RES wave is. That's all it is. Okay, not going to get into any type of advertising. I don't want to get in trouble or banned again, especially not at this time, right? Who wants to get banned now when this sort of stuff's happening? Anyway, so I believe what happened here in this move, simply put, is like an ending pattern, right? And it's a bloody wacky one, I tell you, but it's an ending pattern, and however you want to look at it, this is a 5-wave move that ended, right? Well, I believe it ended, right? And it's in line with what's happening in SNX and SHIB, right? We had a big reversal today, and we need to just keep that in mind. If we break this area right here, right, at 20,711, as I've said before, that invalidates the idea of higher prices, right? I've said that before in my previous crypto market update, which I'll link below. But just look at the weakness of that move. I mean, it's just become too obvious now. It's become too obvious that it's just going to go down. Okay, so the D wave, which I thought happened up here, because this looks like a zigzag, a very weird one at that, it turned out to be that this one is the D wave according to this count, and also because of what I'm seeing across other cryptos. Okay, so that's my base case now. We haven't seen any follow through. We've seen just a little bounce, which makes Gareth Soloway right. He did say it would hit 25,000 and it did. Smart man. Okay. So what does that mean for the stock market? Well, I'm still yet to put out a market update, and I will be doing that very soon as I just get some counts on the chart. Just been busy. But yeah, just bear in mind, I think that another leg down is coming for cryptos. So hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. Thank you.